Hey everybody, it's Leroy from Leroy Gaming, coming to you with another Baldurs Gate 3 guide. Today we're looking at the Thief Subclass for the Rogue. In this video we're going to cover features at level 1 of character creation, including ability recommendations. We're going to do a full level 2 to 12 breakdown, including all the features for the Thief Subclass. And then towards the end, I'll talk a little bit about general equipment recommendations and my thoughts on multiclassing as the Thief Rogue. You can use the timestamps below to jump to an area that most interests you. And remember to drop a like and leave comments below with thoughts, feedback, and questions. And now without further ado, let's take a look at the Thief Rogue. Alright guys, at level 1, the Thief Rogue is going to start just as a rogue, as we're going to get our subclass at level 3. So your primary ability is Dexterity. So your saving throw proficiencies are in Dexterity and Intelligence. Your hit die is 1d8 hit points. And you have proficiency with simple weapons, hand crossbows, longswords, rapiers, shortswords, and light armor. Now level 1 starts pretty simple. You're going to get access to your sneak attacks, both sneak attacks melee and ranged. And the idea here is you deal extra damage to a foe you have advantage against. Now when it comes to ability points, I recommend 8 strength, 17 dexterity, 15 constitution, 8 intelligence, 16 wisdom, 8 charisma. Do note, I plan the 8 intelligence around getting an item in Act 1 that I pretty much keep till the end of the game. That will set my intelligence to 17, because rogues are notorious for being skill monkeys, so they're going to get a lot of skills that you're going to be able to be proficient in. And at level 1 you're going to be able to get expertise, which is basically double proficiency bonus for 2 of the skills that you're proficient in. I highly recommend those being sleight of hand and perception, because if you're going to be a rogue, being able to find traps and secrets and then be able to disarm and or unlock things is going to be a big part of the game. Now at level 2, you're going to get 3 cunning actions. Cunning action hide, dash, and disengage. Now every character has these 3 actions of hide, dash, and disengage, but you have to use a main action to activate them. With this, you can use them as a bonus action. This is important because you can either use one of these as a bonus action and save your main action for an attack, or for example, if you have to move really far on a turn, you can do your full movement, use a bonus cunning action dash to move again, and then you could technically use your main action to do a regular dash afterwards to give you triple movement. So you're going to have a lot of variety of options of how you can utilize this throughout the game. Now at level 3, you're going to get 2 features. One is second story work. Basically you gain resistance to falling damage, which isn't nearly as big of a deal. But the most powerful thing for the Rogue Thief subclass is fast hands. You gain an additional bonus action. And in BG3 here, Larian has made it so there are no limitations on this. You don't have to use it for a secondary attack. You can basically use it for anything where you could use a bonus action. You just literally have 1 main action and 2 bonus actions per turn. Extremely powerful, and it's why a lot of people will dip 3 levels into Thief just for this. At level 4, you're going to be able to pick your first feat. You can't go wrong with improving your abilities. If you're going to do it, I recommend putting 1 in Dexterity and 1 in Constitution. You're going to want to decide whether you're going to dual wield. If you are, dual wielder is really quite good. The +1 AC is great, but it also lets you dual wield with non-light weapons. Defensive Duelist is an option if you're not going to dual wield and you are going to be using a finesse weapon. You can either have your offhand empty, or for example, if you go and get shield proficiency through a multiclass, you could technically wield a shield to get your AC even higher. If you're going to be using a bow, sharpshooter is amazing. Big thing here, it allows you to not take the penalties when you shoot upwards at enemies. And also, you can take a -5 penalty to your attack rolls to do 10 extra damage per hit. And this is something that you can turn on or off at any time, even mid-combat. So it's very powerful. Savage Attacker could be good too. Gives you a higher chance of getting higher rolls on your damage. And in the same light, you can gain a +5 bonus to initiative. And can't be surprised if you choose Alert. This is especially, again, good if you're going on a no save scum kind of playthrough and you want to make sure you go first in combat. At level 5, you're going to get Uncanny Dodge, and this is very powerful. When an attack hits you, you only take half the usual damage. That's a pretty big deal, because this is basically like resistance to most damage types that you're going to take. And there are no limitations. You can get hit 6 times in a round, and you get this benefit 6 times. At level 6, you're going to get to choose 2 more skills that you can become expertise in, or gain expertise in, across acrobatics, stealth, investigate, deception, and persuasion. So pick whatever suits you best. At level 7, you're going to unlock evasion. So when a spell or effect will deal half damage on a successful dexterity saving throw, it deals no damage if you succeed and only half damage if you fail. So this is basically that classic look of a rogue dodging out of a fireball, or dodging out of the way of a dragon flame breath, for example. So when it comes up, it can help a lot. At level 8, you get to pick your next feat. At level 9, you get something called Supreme Sneak. Blend into the environment so completely that you become invisible. So it's an action to activate this, lasts up to 10 turns. Do note, invisibility ends early if you attack, cast another spell, take an action, or take damage. So very similar to the invisible spell, except it's an action instead of having to cast a spell. At level 10, you get a bonus feat, similar to how fighters get bonus feats at level 6 and 10, but you only get it at 10. So this helps out because, as we discussed at level 4, there's just a lot of good feats for the rogue that you may want to consider. At level 11, you're going to get Reliable Talent. So when you make an ability check with a skill you're proficient with, the lowest result you can roll on the die is a 10. Obviously, this is way more useful if you're playing a no save scum playthrough. And finally, at level 12, you're going to pick your final feat to close out your build. Now, when it comes to the rogue and equipment, it tends to be pretty straightforward if you're not multi-classing. You want to decide whether you're going to dual wield or not. Because of the fact that you have that extra bonus action, it could give you extra offhand attacks with that bonus action, for example. And then you can decide whether your main hand is going to be a light finesse weapon, or whether you're going to try and find other weapons that are non-light that can work with that. You can also obviously decide how much you're going to lean into the ranged attacks. You can definitely do some great damage with ranged attacks, and there are some great bows out there. Here's one of my favorites, Darkfire Shortbow. 2 different resistances, and even lets you cast haste. When it comes to your headpiece, highly recommend for all rogues, especially for the main part of the game, Warped Headband of Intellect that sets your intelligence at 17. If you don't know where to get this, it is in Act 1. You kill a very smart giant, ogre, or giant creature. You can do a quick Google search on this to find a guide where to find this, but you are very likely to run into these 3 ogres. And this is great because we can dump our intelligence to 8 and you get 17. It really helps you be a dex monkey and a skill monkey in general. For a cloak, there's a lot of different good cloaks. Some will give you different abilities. Get extra armor and saving throws like the Cloak of Protection is great. And then for your jewelry, either finding ones that will give you utility spells like this Amulet of Misty Steps that gives you Misty Steps cast. There are other rings that may give you either different spells or extra AC. There is a ring of protection that you can get in Act 1. I'm not sure if it stacks with Cloak of Protection because it's been a long time since I've gotten it in early access. So if anybody wants to tell me in comments whether Cloak of Protection and Ring of Protection stack or not, that will be helpful for everybody else. And obviously find the best light armor you can. On my Alistair build, I don't use any armor, so hence I don't have any leather armor, light armor as an example here, but it's pretty straightforward. Now when it comes to multi-classing the Thief Rogue, it is probably one of the most popular multi-class options, especially with Monk, because that extra bonus action you can use, for example, for a flurry of blows. So going as little as 3 levels into Rogue, very, very popular, although a lot of people will go 4 levels so that they can get that extra feat, which is very helpful. So this is important because a lot of the kind of DPS offensive perks you get a level 3 from that bonus action. You may have noticed most of the benefits as you level up after level 3 are going to be defensive benefits. So again, I would say most popular combination of the Rogue, Thief Rogue in particular, is going to be with the Monk to optimize the melee Monk setup, but there's other builds out there as well that you can find. Now with that being said, can you go 12 levels of Thief Rogue? Yes, you can. You'll be decently sturdy, though I will say your DPS is probably going to fall behind a lot of the other min-maxed builds that tend to multi-class. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of the Thief subclass video. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And of course, if you enjoyed the content, drop a like. If you want to see more from me, make sure to subscribe. And as always guys, thank you for all the support, and I will see you in the next video.